welcome to Tabooma Talks. Now, as you guys can see, I've upped the production value of the show quite a bit for this season. I hope you guys enjoy it. Spend way too much time on it, and kind of expect myself to spend more time. Anyway, let's get into our first segment of the show, our game of last week. Now, the game of last week was between yours truly, the Rapist, and Kansas City Chefs, or some people call him Casey. And well, unfortunately for me, Casey pulled out the W by just a measly 4 points. Honestly, it was pretty heartbreaking. If you watch the Monday night game, Case Keenum overthrew Demaryius Thomas on what would have been a game-winning touchdown for me. And it would have been a game-winning touchdown for the Broncos too, so that would have been, good for his team. But nonetheless, even with Kirk Cousins putting up a 31-point game, Hopkins with 17, I could not surmount Jared Goff's 40 and Melvin Gordon's 17 points. Win some, you lose some. Props to Casey for pulling out a hard-fought W. Really was a gutter match between us. As you can see on the side here, I threw our pick'em records because we have both at least participated in the pick'ems at least once this year. Casey participating in week 2 actually went 5-0. Since then he hasn't participated, so 0-10 since then. But he really started off strong. Myself participating in 3 full weeks. I'm leading the pick'ems currently. We'll get into the pick'ems more later. But I am at 9-6. That's all we have for the game of last week, and now we can move on to our next segment, standings and transactions. Now, as we can see here, we have the standings, and each division is led by a 4-0 team. In the Pat Tillman division, we have Christian at 4-0, and in the Steve Smith Senior division, we have Casey at 4-0. Now, each division has 2-2-2 teams. There's 3 1-3 teams total in the league, and then we have Kyle by himself at 0-4. It's been a wild year. There's been tons of points scored. It's unlike any other year I've played in fantasy football in terms of points scored. However, there's still tons of time. We've really only played a quarter of the season. 4 weeks, that's it. Teams, there's still tons of bye weeks. Everyone has a chance to win the division still. Nothing's locked in. No one's guaranteed anything. It's really just going to be a dogfight from here on out. The offense looks insane, and it looks like everyone's going to be scoring points, so it's just who can score the most, really. Now, we've seen the standings. We can move on to our transactions. So as far as transaction goes, recently we've had 2 trades this past week. One of them was the Cam Newton, Greg Olsen for Matt Ryan and Marshawn Lynch. That trade was just kind of weird. Not that I don't care about it, but it was just a weird trade, so I didn't figure we needed to go over it. A more blockbuster trade that did happen today, just a few hours ago, that maybe everyone probably cares about. We got some big names involved in this trade. I received Melvin Gordon, as well as Doug Baldwin and Chris Thompson, and I gave up Stephon Diggs, Cooper Kupp, and Dion Lewis. I think it's a good trade both ways. Casey gets some receivers. I know he loves his Tennessee Titans, so I got him Dion Lewis. He's got a hookup now with his quarterback and Cooper Kupp. And I think Stephon Diggs is just a lock wide receiver 1, and I know Casey loves Stephon Diggs, so I think it works well for him in a lot of ways. For me, I desperately needed a running back, so Melvin Gordon, the second best running back in fantasy football so far in our league. I think that definitely solves my problem. I also think Chris Thompson and Doug Baldwin provide some sneaky value that Casey might miss later on in the season, but only time will tell. That's really all we have for the trades. There's no other transactions that we need to go over, so we can move into our next segment, Pick'ems. Alright guys, this is the new way we're doing Pick'ems. I got a nice scoring sheet here to show how the teams stack up against each other. You can see Christian's been dominant. He's first in multiple categories. Mike, second in receiving and rushing, but he's only amounted to 1-3. So we don't know what's going on there. It's been a crazy year. He's been on the shit end of it. Sucks to be Mike. But does it suck to be Mike this week? No. I don't think so. I think he's got the advantage against Christian, and I'm going to call him to win. I think Deshaun Watson against Dallas isn't a great matchup, but it's a little bit better than Mahomes against Jacksonville. And also, Todd Gurley's the best running back in football, so that's definitely going to play into his favor. In our second matchup of the week, we got Casey versus Michael, and right now they're kind of sitting in the same spot in terms of rankings. They're both 6th in a lot of categories, except there's a big difference in record. Casey 4-0, hasn't lost. Michael 2-2, last in a lot of statistical categories, if we're being honest. Again, I'm gonna have to favor the underdog here. I think Michael has the matchups. I think Patriots, Tom Brady, Julian Edelman off suspension, Rob Gronkowski, I think it's going to pay off for him. I think he gets the W. In our third matchup of the week, we have Justin versus myself, the rapist. And if we're being honest, it doesn't matter what the players are, I'm going to find a way to get a W this week. That's that. In our fourth matchup of the week, we have Kyle versus Gary. And once again, riding the theme of the underdogs, I think 0-4 Kyle is going to pull out a W against Gary. I think he rides Cam Newton to a W. In our fifth and final matchup of Pick'ems this week, we have Dave versus Marcus, father versus son. It's a coveted matchup, a marquee matchup, whatever you want to call it. It's a big game for both of them. Dave's at 2-2, Marcus is at 1-3. It's pivotal that they both get on the winning track. And this week, currently, I'm in favor of Dave. I think Matt Ryan is a pretty big pickup, and I think it's going to pay dividends early, right now, this week, against his son. I think he gets a W. That is the last Pick'ems matchup. And before we go, I just want to go over the Pick'em standings. So let's do that real quick. So here we can see the Pick'em standings. I'm currently leading at 9-6. A couple of us have actually participated. The rest of us, not so much. Kamish, if you'd like, we could maybe just make an announcement just so to say that we're still doing Pick'ems, because nobody ever said we weren't, so I'd still like to get paid out if I win this. Alright guys, that's basically it, so I hope you liked this first episode of Tabooma Talks this season, and I'll see you next week.